my preferred battle rifle setup. Let's talk about it. Welcome back, everybody. Clint today with Classic Firearms, out here to talk about what? Yes, my favorite category of rifle, the battle rifle, featuring the Sig Spear. You have given the Sig Spear some crap before. We know it's not like your most favorite battle rifle. Why are you deciding to use it today? And quite frankly, that's because it checks all the boxes. It does everything I want it to do. Adjustable gas system, ambi controls, including side charging, which is great. With the side charging handle that's oversized, so that way when I'm out here in the cold wearing gloves, and some of you are probably like, Clint, there's not even snow on the ground. There's still some left, but the wind is causing a little bit of a wind chill, okay? So let this North Carolina boy deal with the cold weather how I want to. So with that being said, having oversized controls are nice. They're intuitive enough to get to and everything. But the Sig Spear, like I said, it pretty much does everything I want it to do. My biggest criticisms about this are the awkward kind of rail. It's just tall, and when you have a pressure pad sitting at the 12 o'clock position like I do, quite frankly, I would prefer probably the Driven Arms Co. Dangler and all that in this case. But I went with what I had right on hand. And for ultimately the simplicity of the Surefire pressure pad, I can still manipulate it pretty good, but it's just kind of tall. You see what I mean? It's just kind of sitting way on up there. And does it cloud a little bit of my, yeah, it gets a little bit in the way of the optic. So there's that to take into consideration, but it's not terrible, right? And also this is the basic EOTech, not the one with the QD attachment. So, you know, there's no riser there. So again, things that could be fixed as well. But ultimately the Sig Spear, like I said, does everything I want it to do with the piston driven system. Adjustable 3-prong muzzle device, which just needs to come off. But as I've mentioned before, that thing is rock set on there, and I'm just gonna have to figure that one out at some point, but that's okay for now because shooting the suppressed is actually a lot of fun, and 10 out of 10 would recommend. All right, okay, so why would I have my battle rifle set up like this? Why is this my preference? And let's just start right up to the front and talk about it. First of all, weapon mounted light. This has been a debated topic as of late. In fact, I hosted my live stream not too long ago. Monday nights is where you guys can usually find me at the Classic Firearms YouTube channel, Twitch, Twitter, and of course Rumble, if you guys would like to tune in and join the conversation. I had the entire theme of that Monday night live stream recently all about weapon mounted lights and are they useless, and some people chimed in with, yeah, you're giving away your position. And a lot of people are like, well, being able to see your target and identify it's probably a good idea. Well, you shouldn't be aiming your gun at something you can't see anyway. And it's like, well, light reflects and being able to identify your target makes sense. So I like having a weapon mounted light, especially my personal Surefire Turbo light. This is the epitome of everything I need for a distance light, right? And since this is 7.62 NATO, focusing in one area, being able to identify something out at a distance, and hey, your threats aren't always human. I'm just throwing that out there, okay? But battle rifle, okay, I get it, cool. I'm thinking aliens too and things like that, right? But with all that being said, being able to see something at distance is great. This has a very high candela, which ultimately means it's got a very focused beam downrange, so you can really see that. And it's just a really, really bright light. It is right. It is just a really bright light, so it does everything I want it to do there. Also, you'll notice that I have the tail cap with the push button, so just in case I need to switch on over to my non-dominant hand, now I'm here and I need to activate. I still have the 12 o'clock, but if I get in a weird position and I can't hit that 12 o'clock, I'm having to, shoot oddly, I can still do the push button right up here, which is a momentary and constant on, which I really like a lot, depending on how much pressure you put on the button back here. Something that I learned in Kyle Lamb's class with Surefire, actually I think that's where I got this light, it just makes sense because you might be shooting through weird positions, obstacles, whatever, and you might not always have the capability of the pressure pad, or let's say your pressure pad dies, cable gets caught on something, ripped, whatever, you still like having that well, tail cap push button. As I often say, 2 is 1. Is that right? Which is also why I've got iron sights sitting on this guy. You'll notice I've got the EOTech with a magnifier because I do like the capability of being able to, well, see my target at distance as well. Again, it all comes down to identification. So being able to identify at distance is great, and also being the EOTech magnifier with the QD. Let's say I don't need it, I want to save some weight on this already kind of chunky boy. I can pop that off, stow it in my bag, and keep on going, or cargo pocket or dump pouch, whatever you're comfortable with. So just another thing to take into consideration there. You'll also notice the placement of, well, before I go any further there, iron sights. The iron sights I have on this are the Magpul M-Bus Pros. I am a huge fan of those sights because they're nice and low profile. They don't take up a lot of Picatinny space on the firearm itself, and it still allows me to kind of run these optics that have that short eye relief without having to, well, really stretch myself, right? So you'll notice when I shoulder this guy and I want to get a great sight picture with my magnifier back here, boom, I got it. I can see clearly, identify whatever I need to identify out in the woods over there, and engage that target. So happy about that. And of course, when I don't need it, do just like that, pop it over to the side, left, right, whatever, and then go ahead and get that nice close-up, non-magnified view through the EOTech. Great. The M-Bus Pros, like I said, are awesome. Really big fan of those iron sights, great sight picture, and yes, they co-witness with the EOTech. Pop these guys up, and now you can see, bam, I can run with the iron sight, and I am very happy with that. You'll also notice if your rear sight has the capability of having an O2 or a little bit finer sight picture, I typically keep the O2 open, mainly because it's all about target acquisition and getting on sight a little bit, or getting on target a little bit quicker. So if I'm having to switch to my iron sights, I'm in already that kind of oh no situation. So I want to be able to go ahead and flip these open quick, and then be able to go ahead and get on target as fast as possible and not have to kind of like search for anything. Again, think high stress and all that type of stuff. So I like to have the wider opening for the rear sight pretty much staged and ready to go if your rear sight has that capability. All right. Okay, great. So sights, like I said before, 2 is 1, 1 is none. Your optic can fail, your batteries can die, whatever it might be. So make sure that you can quickly and accessibly get to your backup sights. All right. Now with that, the pressure pad is in a strategic location for me. Again, where I've mounted the BCM vertical mount, even though it is slightly angled. And yes, I do like the feel of it being switched, you know, backwards, if you want to say that. So that way it's angled a little bit more forward instead of angled to the rear. Okay, so with that, if you look at how I like to grip the gun, it's never something like this. I don't typically like to get that broom handle grip on it. That's just me personally. I like this. And I can either ride the thumb forward, or I can go ahead and, well, push back here and activate the light if need be. So either way, if I'm really concerned about accidentally activating the light, having an accidental discharge of white light can be detrimental in the, well, in certain situations. I'll just ride my thumb right over here. Also, something that works great is a lens cover for your light. So in daytime operations or whatever, you don't have to worry about sun reflecting off of it. You just cover that guy and you're ready to rock and roll. You don't have to worry about the negligent discharge of light. So just other things to keep into consideration there, okay? Coming back a little bit further, for this type of setup, I do not like running a single point sling. I am going to run a 2-point sling, and one of my personal favorites is the Tech 10 tactical sling. This is one that I've been running for quite some time now, and it has the adjustment on it, so that way it can be staged a little bit closer to the body. If you're going on those hikes and you don't want the gun, you don't want the rifle pretty much dangling around on you, it makes complete sense. So I can loosen this guy way on up, and then I can go ahead and get a really comfortable sight on target, whatever it is, maneuver around. But then let's say I want to start walking around already where it's hanging naturally with still a little bit of slack left to go. This is super comfortable for me. But let's say I want to get a little bit tighter up to the body, easy enough. I can pull this as far back as I want it to go. And now it's going to sit a little bit higher. And even with the stock folded, which is something you can do with the Sig Spear, which is a really nice feature, now you don't have to worry about this hitting you in the chin or anything like that. You can fold that over and you can just march your happy ass along the trail or wherever you got to go, right? Hunt, perhaps? I don't know. Because this, I mean, 7.62 NATO, it's going to do what it's got to do. So easy enough for me if you ask me, okay? I am a big fan of the 2-point sling here, but what I'm not a big fan of is where the QD mount is on the rail of the Sig Spear. If you notice, it's right here, right? Right here, and on the opposite side, because I'm a righty, is where I've got it staged. Personally, I would like to have this grip about back one more, and I had that there attached to sling, and then I'm pretty much right on top of my sling. And that just doesn't feel too comfortable. So my length of pull is all the way in on this guy to make sure I'm nice and comfortable. My arm isn't outstretched or overstretched, because another thing you'll notice about battle rifles, ladies and gentlemen, they can get heavy. And then the moment you start, and if I keep the mindset of battle on hand, body armor, extra ammo, battle belt, a sustainment pack or assault pack that has also extra ammo, water perhaps, first aid, whatever it might be. You keep all of that and it keeps adding up, and then all of a sudden you go for a 2 or 3 mile walk, and then all of a sudden, let's say you got troops in contact. Whew, man, that's going to be a fatiguing day, don't you think? So another thing that you need to take into consideration, as I mention all the time, especially with these battle rifles, make sure you stay in shape. Cardio can really suck sometimes, but you might have all the cool gear, but if you get winded just walking up a flight of stairs and all of it, you're probably gonna die. So, you know, go for a run and lift some weights. All right, cool. But the sling definitely helps kind of ease all of the stress on your major muscles, especially your arms, which can fatigue very, very quickly, especially if you're aiming down sights constantly, scanning sectors of fire, areas, things like that. Yeah, you know, that can wear on you. And being able to drop that and let it rest for a little bit, shake it out, it's kind of a nice thing to do. So I always recommend a sling in this application. However, not for home defense. I'm just throwing that out there. It's one of the last things I'm going to put on my home defense setup. Let me know what you think about that down in the comment section. Okay, but in this case, for my battle rifle, yeah, I want a sling, and I want a 2-point sling for this setup, okay? Coming back, I've already talked about the EOTech and magnifier. Let's talk magazines, all right? Because one thing that we saw early on with the Sig Spear was a little bit of an issue running PMags. We saw that there could be an over-insertion. I do believe Sig has ultimately fixed that. I do like this FDE Lancer 20 mag, all because it's just a vibe. But yes, do I have 25 rounders in my belt ready to go? Absolutely I do, because why? I mean, because this is America, that's why. If I had a drum mag for it, I'd figure out how to stuff that somewhere. But what is that? Also added weight. And is it necessary? That's up to you to decide, okay? All right, coming back, you'll notice there's not much more I really did to this rifle, actually, at all. I am a fan of this Magpul stock with the MOE SLM, slim, perhaps. It allows you to get a nice, so if I show you guys this really quick, first of all, it's a short stock, all right? It is a short boy. For me, that's great. I like a shorter length of pull. You'll notice when I shoot with Aaron and the guys, he rips this thing pretty much all the way out because that's what's comfortable for him. Thankfully, adjustable length of pull and adjustable stocks exist, and to each their own, we can adjust these to whatever is comfortable. You'll also notice that your length of pull is going to change depending on the positioning in which you shoulder your rifle with body armor. I am wearing the Guard Dog body armor tracker with the level 4 plates, and sometimes I can get that pocket of the shoulder right in here, but it's also not the most comfortable. I personally am typically the kind of guy that likes to go on the plate itself, right up in here somewhere, and there are other times where I might try to go a little bit more center depending on the stock, but in this case it's just not going to work out for me. But typically when I'm shouldering this guy, I am right up in here nice and high and bringing the gun to my face, not my face to the gun. All right, I am, like I said, however, a fan of the stock, and it allows you as well, there are better stocks out there, don't get me wrong, that have more of a larger surface area, a little bit bigger footprint, so that way you get a little bit more grab on whatever material it is that you're wearing. There's a little bit more disbursement of the recoil on a larger surface area stock. But because this is slim like it is, it allows me, see if I can do this effectively in gloves. Yes, I can. To get a nice flush, mostly flush, except my QD swivel is kind of in the way of it, mostly flush stowage of the stock. Again, in that case, it's going to be right up against me if I'm walking. If it folded to the right side, that would be preferred, so that way I could get it out a little bit easier. But you'll notice that starts hindering, well, getting to my controls over here in the forward assist. So something to take into consideration as well. I like that it folds on the left side, makes sense. It's probably not so much going to be used for walking and traversing terrain, stuff like that, but definitely transportation in hard cases. So that way you got more room in your Pelican or whatever else it might be. Makes sense, right? But that's ultimately it, ladies and gentlemen, as far as my preferred setup for a battle rifle goes. Just want something that's going to be easy to use in an already stressful situation. I mean, it has it in the name, battle rifle, right? And that's exactly why I'm looking like I am today, because this is pretty much how I'd feel or how I'd dress up. You know, it's got my full-on LARP going on over here in that situation, because, well, I need extra ammo. I need something to sustain me. I need snacks. Snacks are important, okay? I'm just throwing it out there. You're going to be burning a lot of calories. Water is also important, so make sure you keep that on you as well. You're going to be burning a lot of calories. You're going to be running around. You're going to be tired. You're going to be needing some sort of sustenance. So keeping snacks on you are definitely important, okay? Which is why little grip modules for your grip itself, you know, the little lid in here or the cover is great, because you can hide like some Skittles and M&Ms and stuff, right? And it's a good time. All right, cool. And then again, the placement of my angled foregrip or my vertical grip up front here, for me it makes sense because I'm pushing that into my body, pushing forward here, so that way I've got just a really tight, and I can just control that recoil. In fact, I can just go ahead and show that really quick here. Thank you again for the side charging, and you'll notice basic 3-prong up front from Sig. It is what it is. Recoil's not the best with that. There are definitely better muzzle devices out there, but what are you going to do? But just notice really quick, just a couple of quick rounds. Easy enough to stay on target with this guy. Granted, I'm only engaging targets at about maybe 20 yards, if that. So adding a little bit of distance on this, especially if you're standing, moving, going from the prone to the kneeling, all of that's going to be fatiguing and wearing you out. Battle rifles, am I right? But it is a force multiplier. That is for sure. You got that heavier hitting, full powered rifle cartridge. That's just going to be engaging targets out to a little bit greater distance than your typical 5.56 as well. But that's not really what this is ultimately designed for. That's more of your DMR. But you have that capability with this rifle. So again, this is my preferred battle rifle setup. Let me know what you guys think about that down in the comment section below. Yay, nay, indifferent, would change this, that, or the other. Let me know. Again, I like having magnified capabilities. I like having a high candela white light. I like having the backup iron sights, and I like having something as a reference point for gripping and also for that added stability when gripping. Now, granted, some people might want to throw on bipods, stuff like that. Not me, not for this type of rifle. And to be quite frank with you, this might cause a little bit of a debate down in the comment section. If I am going prone with this style of rifle, digging the magazine into the ground, it's probably going to be just fine. Has that induced malfunctions before? Yeah, I'd say so. Probably in your less tolerant guns. But for this one here, where we have dug the magazine into the ground and shot prone, it's never been an issue. So there you have it. Again, comment section, light it up. Don't forget to head on over to cfcontest.com to check out all the fun things we've got going on over there. You might see a rifle that looks very, very similar to this. Oh, one other point. This is the 33, which is a 3x magnifier. I probably prefer the 5x, the G45, just to get a little bit more magnification out there. And I think also this might just be a mind thing, that I get a better eye relief with the 45. Just personally. I think I do. Now I got to compare it. Okay, I'll leave it off there, guys.